wrote back, like, you texted me back, like, hey man, you're such a nice guy. And I was like, you know, it's funny because before 2011, I really wasn't. And
Hey everybody, you're tuning into an episode of Strangers in Passing. My name is Beverly Teresa, and I started this podcast with the idea of interviewing people, but not just any people. People I've maybe met once in my life, have never met, or have only chatted with online, and I sprinkle in some of my favorite people that are close to me as well. Today I chatted with Daniel Hill. I met Daniel from being a guest on his podcast called The Instagram Stories. He's an Instagram digital marketer whose knowledge of the platform is vast and quite thorough. We talk about him becoming the first ever to be approved for an Alexa flash briefing on Instagram, what it's like going door to door to share your beliefs, why he started being so nice, and we tackle the burning question, why does his wife have so many pairs of shoes? To have you on the show. Like, we haven't really talked personally, like I was a guest on your podcast, but I'm excited to get to know you as a person. First off, I want to ask you about the Instagram, Amazon, Alexa flash briefing. Like, tell me what exactly that is and like how you accomplish getting approval for that.
you tell your device, tell me the news, right? Tell me what I want to know about. And it'll read you the weather and so forth. The difference that Amazon has versus Google is that they give people like you and me who have podcasts or other audio shows the chance to give an audio show of 1 to 10 minutes up to once a day. Actually, you could do it every 15 minutes if you wanted to really get crazy with it. But you can upload it, and then people can subscribe to you and your news, whatever it happens to be about. So if you wanted to do something motivational, something about positivity, or something about the fishing in the town you live in, whatever you want to do, you can do. And if people want to subscribe to that, they will. And I actually had a friend who works in marketing named Jen Lehner, and she's a digital marketing strategist, awesome lady, and she's got one of these, and she has been after me for months to do this. And she's like, Daniel, it'd be great, use of your time. I think you would do really well. You'd build an audience. I'm like, I'm not really sold on it. And I'd asked some of my friends, like, do you guys use Alexa like this? And they were all like, nah, not really. So a lot of time went by, and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to pull the trigger, because I found a way to do it where you could, so it's for free. Amazon requires that you have a SSL certificate for it, and my website doesn't. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a pain in the neck step. And I called GoDaddy, and they were like, yeah, it's, $50 a month. I'm like, not going to do it. So I found a company called Effect.co, and they basically provide hosting for free for this. So I applied, and Amazon rejected it because the title of my flash briefing skill was the Instagram stories. My idea was every day I would tell you what was new with Instagram, whether they added features or whatever, and do a little Q&A kind of thing and keep it to a couple of minutes. So Amazon rejected it. So I had to kind of come up with another plan, a strategy, and I tried to get Amazon to talk to me about it over the phone and explain to them the concept of fair use, but they wouldn't call because they don't do that. And by the way, are you familiar with the concept of fair use? Can I talk about that for a quick second?
Yeah, talk about it. I mean, I kind of have the general understanding, but for listeners who don't, maybe.
Okay, well, I'm not an expert in fair use. I'm not a lawyer, right? But if you were to say you were reviewing kinds of peanut butter, you were reviewing Skippy and Jif. Now, both of those are trademarked, but you're not reviewing kinds of peanut butter to any specific end other than you're talking about peanut butter. So how are you going to identify Jif and Skippy if you can't use? You'd be like this peanut butter versus this. It doesn't make any sense, right? You need identifiers. So I did a lot of research, and I should be able to use the word Instagram what it is I'm talking about, right? If I say that platform with the pictures and the thing, we know what I'm talking about, but I need to describe it using the word. So a lot of back and forth about that. And I actually was thinking maybe I should change the name and call it something else other than the Instagram stories. I don't know what. And I talked to my friend Jen Lehner, actually, who told me that her flash briefing, which is called the Front Row Entrepreneur, she's been actually getting letters from entrepreneurs saying that the word entrepreneur is trademarked and that she can't use it, which is crazy. Like, you're encouraging entrepreneurship and you won't let people use the word. So, I was a little discouraged after that conversation. And then why don't you just reach out to Instagram and ask them if you can use the word? And I'm like, Dad, I'm just one guy with not a lot of followers. Why is Instagram going to let me use? And so at first I sent them a message and they said, no, we don't allow this. So then I sent a second message and I said, what kind of wording would you allow for someone to use the word Instagram? And they wrote back, send me what you have in mind. And I was like, nah, give me a little more. Like, would you? And they wrote back, send us what you have in mind. I said, okay, fine. So I sent it to them and they said, okay, our legal team has reviewed it and put this verbiage in it. You're clear to use the word Instagram and our logo in anything that you do.
Sweet.
And I was like, holy cow, never thought that would happen. So the reason I really wanted to do this was nobody else has an Instagram news flash briefing in the Amazon Alexa store. If you search and you want to get news about Instagram, I am the only person right now who has that. And I know it's not going to last forever. I'm sure someone will come along with a much bigger following who has a lot better equipment and sound and things to say and whatever, and that's fine. But this has been a really, really interesting ride because I'm adding a really good number of subscribers. It's been about 30 days, 2 days, and I'm up to about 2,500 subscribers.
Wow.
In that time. So it's been interesting. I'm getting messages from people like, hey, I really like your stuff. I'm just starting out. I'm trying to figure this out. A couple of people have sent me questions to answer on the show, which is cool. So it's been a really good learning experience, but it's really taught me a lot about consistency, because even in my own Instagram posts, I'm not very consistent. And this has kind of forced me to do it every day and sit down and kind of build my schedule around it. So it's been really fun though.
How long have you been doing this now?
33 days.
Did you find that the more time, or like the more you turned it into a ritual, the easier it was to get done?
Yes, but I had to figure out in a way that works for me, because I'm not saying that I'm very, I don't know what the word is, but I can be kind of regimented. Like, the only way I can get to the gym is if I go in the morning, because something might pop up in the afternoon. Someone asked me to do something, and then, I'm not going to get to the gym. So if I go, from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the morning, nobody's calling me, nobody's looking for me, nothing's going to pop up during that time. So I kind of have to figure out, how is this going to fit into my daily routine? Mm-hmm. And is it going to really be productive? Is it going to be fitting in with my goals? Is it going to help me accomplish my goals? Those are the kind of things, I want more Instagram speaking opportunities. And this seems like a good way to carve out an area for myself in that other people weren't. So it did fit in with my day once I figured out how it all worked and how it was going to go and so forth.
If you want more speaking opportunities or more brand awareness for yourself, this is a good move, because you're in early before everyone else. So of course you're going to get all those people who are interested in Instagram updates subscribe to you, which is like so awesome. I've never heard of this being done before, because I don't use Alexa, obviously, but it just blew my mind.
Sure.
Can we talk about, for a second, so you said you started becoming a nicer person. What does that even mean? Were you mean before?
I would say that I definitely was not a very nice person. I mean, I was just nice to get things. Like,
okay.
I think I'd be nice to people if they were attractive. Like, if I thought I had, a chance to date a girl, I would be nice. I don't think I was a very nice person overall, in general. And I would verbally spar with people sometimes, like back and forth. Like, I don't know why. Just, for some reason, I always felt like nice guys finish last, and I don't want to be that nice guy. And I don't know. That was just my mindset. And looking back, it seems really stupid, but that was kind of how I processed the world, I guess.
So what triggered you to start becoming nicer, I guess?
Well, it was funny that I'm going to say this, but I read a book called The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay.
And in that book, he kind of talks about how if we're not inherently nice, that there's way more downsides than there are upsides. And I guess I always thought of being nice as being a downside because it meant you were vulnerable. It meant that people were going to take advantage of you, that people were going to view you a certain way, you know, a pushover or somebody who wasn't going to make. And it kind of showed me that you can be a nice person and stand up where you want to in life, and being nice just because that's who you are can make you into a better person. And I never realized that. Like, for some reason, you read time or a certain way and it clicks all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it just made me realize, like, wow, Dan, you've been a jerk for a really long time. You should work on that. And recently, actually, a friend said to me, because I answered a question or offered to help him with something, I don't even remember. And he wrote back, like, he texted me back, like, hey, man, you're such a nice guy. And I was like, you know, it's funny because before 2011, I really wasn't. And I really, unless it was in my best interests to be nice and to benefit myself in some way, I really wasn't. So that's been something I've been trying to work on.
So the extent of like your not niceness, would you were walking through a building and a janitor said hi to you, would you be nice and say hi back, or like, how was your day? Or would you just be like, meh, you don't do anything for me?
Yeah, no, I would definitely be like, you are not, unless there was some reason that me being nice to him would help me in life, I probably would have been sarcastic. Or sarcasm was really, and even now I'm still sarcastic, but I try to keep it so much more in check because it really doesn't endear people to you. Like, I think sarcastic people can be humorous, you know, maybe you watch shows on TV where people are sarcastic.
Yeah.
But I don't know anybody who's like, oh man, that guy is so great, you have to meet him. He is just so bitingly sarcastic. I don't see that is a quality people are looking. Maybe people are, but I don't want to attract those kind of friends who only want to be around sarcastic people anymore. Maybe that's part of growing up.
No, I definitely agree. Like, there's a line for how sarcastic you can be without turning into a bitch or a jerk.
Right. Well, in situations where people are very stressed out, I now try to look at them and just be the nicer person in that scenario. Like, going through the airport, going through security is just so stressful and crazy, and people can get really upset. And I try to be the guy who's like, hey man, I know you're just doing your job. And even when they, you know, take off my shoes, belt, and then they give you the pat down like you're a criminal, and, you know, they search my yogurt or whatever. And I'm like, come on guys, like, maybe you're just doing this because I'm brown, you know, whatever. I still try to say, okay, you know, this is a job, whatever. Let's just be nice about it and polite and just move on because it's only going to last a few minutes. I really try to make the most out of bad situations.
In our pre-email, where you talked about going door to door to find out what people believe why old people can't use technology. Can you like just tell me more about this? Like, I was like, I read this and I started laughing out loud. I was like, did he actually go door to door?
Oh, well, those are two separate statements. I should probably say that first. But yes, it's unrelated, going door to door to find out what old people can't use technology. Well, those are two separate topics. Maybe I should have used periods, or maybe I tried to use bullets. I'm thinking I tried to use bullets and they didn't come through. Anyway, so I'm Jehovah's Witnesses, and so all Jehovah's Witnesses go door to door to talk to people and find out what people believe and share about the hope that Bible holds for the future. And that is a thing that a lot of people are very not receptive to. Yes. But in this world, when tragedies happen, we all do need some kind of comfort and hope. So that's why I go to door to door. But in my 9-to-5 job, IT, and so I work with a lot of older people, some, you know, doctors, nurses, people who maybe didn't grow up with technology. And so who didn't grow up with technology always, well, I didn't learn that, you know, in school. I didn't, and I don't think that's really how things go, right? Because you can't use that as an excuse. I didn't grow up driving a car, but when I got older, I signed up for driving lessons and I learned, right? And for older people who can't type, I don't know if have you watched a person do that thing where they hunt and peck, right? And they use 2 fingers to type. I've been working on a stand-up routine about this because it's hilarious to me. I Googled, and the typewriter was invented in the 1800s. Like, the keys haven't changed for 120 years. And you're like, oh, I didn't grow up with this. Like, no, you did. They've been the same. Helen Keller, she's blind. When she was alive, the keys were in the same spot, right? So I think old people just have this inherent, because I didn't grow up with it, I can't do it. But people like you and me say YouTube video and figure it out, which says a lot about our generation and our time period. So those are 2 separate topics. Now if that makes it clear.
Yeah, I read them as one, but I was like, oh, it makes sense to go door to door because older people wouldn't be online.
That's hilarious.
Back to the Jehovah's Witness going door to door. I don't know, is this an appropriate question to ask you for like your most horrific, like when people are rude to you? Can you describe one of those incidents?
I mean, I think people are rude all the time. And maybe that's one of the things that, because I've been doing this so long, kind of made me a mean person in the beginning, or for a lot of my life as well. What people have said to me, like, oh, I've had people slam the door in my face and be like, you don't believe in Jesus. And I'm starting, the reason we go door to door to talk to people is about Jesus, but by then they've already closed the door.
Yeah.
Or they'll say like, not my Jesus, as if there's like multiple Jesuses. I don't know. I don't want to get into it. What that they're trying to infer. But yeah, you do meet people who just slam the door or say they're not interested, and that's fine. I totally, you're on their turf, kind of, so to speak. And so Jehovah's Witnesses, we've gone door to door for a long time, and we still do, but we also have started working in public places. So in a train station or a bus station, you might see a cart that we have with our information. And now, of course, since it's online, we have a website which has a ton of really interesting information about the Bible or questions that people want to know. Grow old and die. Why does God allow bad things to happen to good people? And people can find the answers in the privacy of their own home. We have spent a lot of time distributing magazines that explain the Bible, but people don't really read magazines as much anymore. If you people on a bus or a train reading a magazine, I saw somebody on the subway the other day reading like Newsweek or something, and I was like, when was the last time I saw a person reading a magazine? Like, times have changed, right? We all just stare at our phones and we can get a much more updated information. So we've varied our approach, but yeah, that's how Jehovah's Witnesses reach people and contact people. And there are plenty of people who are mean one day, and then the next time we go, for whatever reason, something in their life changed. They lost a family member, something happened, or they're having a little more time that day, and they say, you know what is it you guys do? Like, why do you come around? And then we get to explain and have a good conversation. So a lot of times you just catch a person in the middle or on a bad day, and that's cool. We all have those too.
Yeah, no, definitely. Is there such like a social media question? Is there a Jehovah's Witness like Instagram? And then if so, what's on it?
No, so there's not. As an organization, Jehovah's Witnesses do not use social media for this message.
Okay.
We've got the website, and that's kind of the big push. For a long time, I thought, well, that'll change, but I actually don't think it will. And only because the conversation can turn very mean quickly if people, sometimes people get very offended by different things and different religious groups. I've seen other religious groups use social media really, really well and do some interesting things. Like one time, I can't remember if it was Instagram or Snapchat, but I saw an ad for the Latter-day Saints with like swipe up and get a free Bible or something. And I was like, wow, that's a great idea. And like And so there are different ways to do it, but we've just focused on using our website to give people information. That's
old close friends is actually a Jehovah's Witness as well, and she talks about going to like conferences and stuff, and it just seems like I'm not a religious person at all, but like I can appreciate the community feeling that religion gives people, and like I'm just like, you believe in whatever you want to believe, like
yeah, sure.
so that like that's super interesting to me about Jehovah's Witness and like what that includes on like a daily basis. So that's why I was like, is there an Instagram account? I kind of want to like see what's going on.
No, unfortunately there's not. But it's funny that you mentioned about the different beliefs and having a friend who's one of Jehovah's Witnesses, because at the end of the day, I do think it matters what you believe, but I think it's most important that your beliefs don't hurt anybody else.
Yes.
Danger anyone else's safety, or give anyone a hard time about anything, right? So,
yeah.
The people who believe that it's God's telling them to go to war, that bothers me on a very, very deep level. And I certainly respect if people believe that, but that's one of the great things about the culture that we live in the United States, and to a certain extent, I think Canada, but as long as your beliefs don't encroach on anyone else's freedoms, we have the freedom to worship and live the way we want, as long as it doesn't damage anyone else's life. And I think that's a really, really great thing that we often take for granted.
Oh, dang that. I didn't even think about including like this disclaimer that you added, and then when you're talking about it just now, I was like, that's so sad that we actually have to say like, as long as you're not hurting anyone, but on it to get to a point where it's like we don't have to have that disclaimer and people should just know. But I definitely think including messaging like that is important and a priority, especially nowadays. But yeah. Question. How do you not understand women, but you've been married for 13 years?
I think the list of things I don't understand about women, it could just be like, okay, my wife has so many shoes that I do not understand. Okay, as a guy, I was like, it really expanded my collection. I've really worked hard on this, and I have about 6 pairs of shoes now. And I think that I have too many pairs of shoes, frankly. But my wife all the time is like, oh, we should go to DSW. Like in the past year, I only have these 1 pair of sneakers for like, normal life and going to the gym and whatever. And then maybe I'd save my old ones for mowing the lawn, or, if we went hiking or something. But now I have nice going out sneakers, and I have going to the gym sneakers. I have 2 pairs of sneakers. And my wife, hundreds of shoes. She has 4 pairs of red heels. What is the difference between them? Oh, well, these ones are a certain height and these ones are a certain height. And even when we go places, I say, shoes you are wearing do not seem like walking shoes. Are you sure? No, they're fine. They don't hurt at all. And then I'll park somewhere. Oh, can you park closer to the door because I can't walk in these? Yeah, I know you can't walk in these. That's why I asked the question before we left. That's a prime example, but I could give you tons. Like when I take a shower, I just, use soap and hot water, but my wife uses the loofah. I don't know what the word is, but it's the thing that takes off the top 3 layers. But she says that's how you have to get clean. But I don't think removing the top 3 layers of your skin is how you get clean. But again, as a guy, we just, maybe view things a little bit differently. So yeah, there's a lot of things about women I don't know.
I can feel you on those issues. Like sometimes I don't even know why I have so many shoes when I don't wear half of them. Been ending shows off by asking guests, what is one life tip that you would give a stranger? Like,
I have 2. Number 1 is the movie 3 Idiots. It's a Bollywood movie that everyone should watch. It's super excellent. It's a little, I think maybe mid 2000s things. 3 Idiots, subtitled in Bollywood movie. Watch it. Second is go do stand-up comedy. Even if you don't think that you have a lot to say, figure out 3 minutes of something that you think is funny and try it, because there is nothing like getting on the stage and trying to make people laugh and use a variety of different skills that you'll never use but are super helpful in the rest of your life.
Okay, lovers, that's all I have for you this episode. If you want to connect with Daniel on social media and want to check out his Alexa flash briefing, I'll put the links in the show notes. If you want to chat with me between episodes, you can follow me at Hello Beverly, that's Beverly with an L-E-Y, on all social media platforms, and you can learn more about Strangers in Passing and catch earlier episodes at strangersinpassing.com. I think humans are naturally nice, so if you run into a stranger, why not say hi? But if they're mean, run away, far away. Bye!